"I speak 9 languages," said son of black cleaning lady. Arab millionaire laughed, but got shocked. The boy's voice carried through the grand lobby of the 5-star hotel, soft but steady, like a note of music that refused to be drowned out by the noise around it. "I speak 9 languages," he said. The guests turned their heads, curious. The chandeliers above shimmered, reflecting the polished marble floor. The Arab millionaire sitting on a leather chair in the center of the room tilted his head back and let out a thunderous laugh. His watch glinted, his expensive suit stretched as his chest heaved with laughter. It was the kind of laugh that could humiliate, the kind that could crush someone who dared to dream too high. People glanced at the boy, then at his mother who stood in her cleaning uniform with a mop in hand, her skin glistening with sweat after hours of scrubbing floors. She tried to lower her gaze, but her son stood tall. He was only 19, dressed in worn-out jeans and scuffed shoes, carrying a backpack that had seen better days. His name was Samuel. His mother was Grace, a cleaning lady who worked every shift she could to keep food on the table. The millionaire leaned forward, still smiling in disbelief. 9 languages? You, the son of a cleaning woman? His voice was laced with amusement, almost mocking. Samuel didn't flinch. Yes, sir. 9 languages. The laughter grew louder, echoing through the lobby, but what no one realized was that this moment, this laughter, would ignite a story that people across the United States and beyond would never forget. Samuel had grown up in the shadows of wealth, where the shine of luxury blinded most people to those who cleaned up after it. Grace, his mother, had come to America from Sierra Leone with nothing but her hands and her will to survive. She believed that even in a land where opportunity often hid behind locked doors, hard work and faith could carve out a path. She cleaned hotel rooms, bathrooms, lobbies, places where people rarely noticed her unless they needed something. Yet she carried her pride with her. "We may be poor," she would tell Samuel, "but we are not small. Remember that." Samuel remembered. He carried that dignity with him every day as he waited for her in the lobby after school. He didn't have video games or tutors like other kids. What he had were books left behind by travelers, scraps of newspapers, and the priceless gift of listening. Tourists from France would ask for directions, and Samuel would lean in, absorbing their words. Japanese guests would bow politely, and Samuel mimicked the sounds of their language until they became familiar. He spoke Spanish with the gardeners, Arabic with businessmen, German with professors, Swahili with East African families, Portuguese with Brazilians, Russian with a violinist who once stayed for weeks, and Hindi with an Indian family who shared spices with him. 9 languages. Not polished by universities, not decorated with certificates, but alive in his tongue, alive in his heart. To Samuel, language was not just about words. It was about connection. It was about telling someone, "I see you. I hear you. You belong." And that was a gift no one could take from him. But now, in front of the millionaire's laughter, that gift was being tested. The Arab businessman, Sheikh Khalid al-Rahman, was a man of power and money. He had once been poor himself, but decades of building empires had hardened him. He had grown used to seeing the world in terms of status, who had wealth and who didn't. That's why the idea of a cleaning lady's son claiming to speak 9 languages seemed ridiculous. "All right then," Khalid said, wiping tears of laughter from his eyes. "If you speak 9 languages, prove it. Speak to me in Arabic." Samuel inhaled deeply. Then, without hesitation, he replied fluently in Arabic. His tone was respectful, his pronunciation crisp, his rhythm natural. Khalid's smile faltered. "French," he barked. Samuel switched smoothly, his voice carrying the cadence of Paris. "Japanese." The boy bowed slightly and answered in Japanese, his words rolling with ease. The laughter in the lobby had died. Guests stood silent, their jaws slack, their eyes wide. Samuel moved from one language to the next: German, Spanish, Portuguese, Russian, Swahili, Hindi. Each word struck the air like a note in a symphony. By the time he finished, the room was still. Even the millionaire sat frozen, his pride cracking. This was no joke. The boy was telling the truth. But Khalid's pride resisted admiration. Languages are tricks, he muttered. Parrots repeat words too. What use are they to the world? Before Samuel could answer, a commotion broke out at the front desk. A guest from Turkey was shouting, frustrated, unable to communicate with the receptionist. Security was called, voices rose, tension filled the room. Samuel stepped forward. May I? Without waiting for permission, he approached the guest and spoke in Turkish, his tone calm and reassuring. Within minutes, the storm was over. The man smiled, the receptionist understood, and the problem dissolved. The lobby applauded softly. Grace wiped her eyes, her heart swelling with pride. Khalid watched in silence. In that moment, something inside him stirred, something he had buried long ago. He remembered his own arrival in London decades earlier, when he had been mocked for his accent, dismissed as a poor immigrant with no chance. He had fought to prove himself, building walls around his heart so no one could ever laugh at him again. But here was this boy, standing in patched shoes, unafraid of laughter, bridging worlds with nothing but words. Khalid could not ignore him anymore. That night, Khalid invited Samuel and Grace to his private suite. He poured himself tea, his face unreadable. Tell me, he said finally, how did you learn all of this? Samuel lowered his eyes. From listening. From books I found. From people who passed through this hotel. I never had money for tutors, but I had ears. And I had my mother. He glanced at Grace. She told me that words are free, and the way I use them can make me richer than kings. Grace spoke softly, her voice breaking. I cannot give him money or luxury. Only my faith and my encouragement. While I scrub floors, he studies. He dreams bigger than I can imagine. For the first time in years, Khalid felt something unfamiliar press against his chest, humility. He had laughed at them, but now he saw their strength. The next day, during the Grand Business Summit, Khalid did something that shocked everyone. He brought Samuel onto the stage. This boy, he announced, claims to speak 9 languages. Yesterday I laughed at him. Today, I invite you to see for yourselves. Executives from across the world stepped forward. A German banker, a Spanish diplomat, a Japanese investor, a Russian engineer. One by one, they tested him. One by one, Samuel replied with confidence, switching tongues as easily as others changed jackets. The hall erupted in applause. Men and women who controlled billions of dollars stood to their feet, clapping for the cleaning lady's son. Khalid placed a hand on Samuel's shoulder, his voice solemn. Yesterday, I mocked you. Today, I honor you. From this moment, your education is my responsibility. You will study in the finest schools, and the world will know your name. Grace gasped, her knees trembling. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Samuel stood stunned, his heart pounding, his mother's years of sacrifice flashing before his eyes. The promise was not empty. Khalid kept his word. Years later, Samuel graduated from one of America's top universities, specializing in linguistics and international relations. He became a cultural ambassador, a bridge between nations. His gift was no longer just a party trick, it was a tool for peace. He helped mediate conflicts, translated during crises, and taught children that language was not just grammar and vocabulary, but a way of saying, you matter. I understand you. In the United States, his story spread like wildfire. From news stations to classrooms, people spoke of the cleaning lady's son who turned mockery into miracles. He became a symbol of the American dream, not the dream of wealth, but the dream that no matter where you start, dignity and determination can carry you anywhere. Khalid often attended his speeches. The once proud millionaire now sat quietly in the front row, his eyes soft. This boy, he would tell people, reminded me of the wealth I had forgotten, the wealth of humanity. Samuel never forgot where he came from. He returned to the hotel lobby one day, years later, now a man in a suit, holding his mother's hand. The staff greeted him with respect, the same staff who once watched the millionaire laugh at him. He looked around the marble floors, the chandeliers, the polished glass. Then he said softly to his mother, "You were right. Words made me richer than kings. But it was your love that made me a man. Grace squeezed his hand, tears shining in her eyes. And with that, Samuel's story became more than a personal victory. It became a lesson for all. That greatness is not bound by birth, wealth, or status. That laughter can wound, but courage can transform wounds into wisdom. That the truest language, the one understood across nations, races, and faiths, is the language of kindness? And that is a language we all must learn.